How's our financial plan coming?
Super! Chris, any advice?
With Western and Southern, preparing for your financial future can be easier than you think. Favorite receiver?
Huh?
To get started, visit westernsouthern.com.
Welcome into the PFF studios. Austin Gayle here with Mike Renner. We are going through your latest 2020 NFL mock draft, all presented by our friends at Western and Southern. I just got to get right into this thing because, first pick, Joe Burrow, LSU Tiger, just got off beating Bama, now goes first overall to the winless Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, one caveat here. So this mock draft we did here is called the PFF GM mock. We take over as GM for every single team. This is not what we're predicting will happen come next April. This is if we were running each NFL franchise, what we would do. And if that's the case, it's going to be Joe Burrow at 1 for a long time. For the foreseeable future, I don't care what team's picking at 1 of these top here. He is that good of a QB prospect. What he did against Alabama this past weekend, scintillating stuff. I mean, he is accurate down the field where it counts. Great decision-making this year, fearless. So many good things about him. He has jumped 2 on our big board. He is the number 1 player. He's the number 1 player in the draft.
Absolutely. Ton of big-time throws, gritty. You speak to fearless. He has that mentality, that personality that teams are going to chase. Former Mr. Ohio. He comes back to Ohio. Cincinnati Bengals here, first overall. Let's go to number 2. Tua Tagovailoa going to the Washington Redskins. Yes, they have Dwayne Haskins, but go get a quarterback. You just have to keep chasing this quarterback. They chase one with Tua Tagovailoa here.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Dwayne Haskins was the 15th overall pick. He was a middle of the first rounder. Multiple teams that needed quarterbacks said, hey, we pass on Dwayne Haskins. We don't think he is our guy. If you have a chance at getting a better quarterback prospect, a guy who you have rated higher, which we have Tua rated higher than we had Haskins last year, if that's the case, that incremental difference at QB is so much more valuable than it would be at any other position on the football field. And we saw what, even the Dolphins last year, after a disastrous rookie season from Josh Rosen, they still got a second-round pick for him. So you can still flip Haskins, if need be, for a second-rounder, for something if he doesn't pan out this season, which, early returns have not been great. So if you think that he's a better quarterback prospect, get your guy. We would get our guy. So Tua Tagovailoa would be that guy.
And you have to expect, as an NFL franchise, you're not going to be drafting 1 or 2 overall all the time. When you're there, go get a quarterback because you're there for a reason. Your quarterback's not playing well. And I do like what you bring up there. Dwayne Haskins still has value. There are teams that believe in him as a first-round talent. You can flip him for a second-rounder like the Cards did with Josh Rosen.
And it wouldn't be giving up on Dwayne Haskins, just like the Cardinals. It would be saying, we think this guy is better. I don't think the Cardinals regret drafting Kyler Murray number 1 overall whatsoever.
Not at
all. He's
all.
been fantastic for them as a rookie. So if you're not giving up on Dwayne Haskins, you're just saying this is the most valuable position on the football field. We need to get the best player possible.
Let's go to the New York Jets. They bring in Chase Young, the best non-quarterback in this class, hands down. He's going to break PFF records for pass rushing grade. The dude is a freak, has all the size, all the talent, all the tools. You would draft him first if quarterback wasn't so valuable.
Yeah, so we in our 6 years of grading college football players, Nick Bosa's gone through, Joey Bosa's gone through, Myles Garrett's gone through, some of the best pass rushers in the NFL. He's going to earn our highest pass rushing grade. Incredible. He's going to be the best prospect we've seen on the edge. The only guy who's ever led the FBS as a true sophomore in pressures in our 6 years of doing this. He is the best. He's the best non-QB prospect in the draft. I feel confident. Whoever's the first team to not draft a quarterback, it's going to be Chase Young. That's how good he is.
The looming suspension has no effect on his draft stock. He is still an elite talent. He will go top 5. Keeps him healthy. Good point there. Jerry Jeudy goes to the Miami Dolphins at 4 overall. They do not get a quarterback, but they get the best wide receiver in the 2020 NFL draft.
Yeah, he's had some drop issues this year. He had the drops against LSU this past weekend. 6 drops on the season now. But what he does as a receiver after the catch, as a downfield threat, there's really not much he can't do at the position. The single best separator in the entire wide receiver class, in a loaded class. And just because it's a deep wide receiver class does not mean if you're the Dolphins sitting at 4 that you want to wait and get a guy in the second round because you think he'll be good. This is a true number 1. Him and CeeDee Lamb are true number 1s. They offer something different that a lot of other receivers in this class don't. Go and get your guy.
The best compliment you can give a wide receiver, and you said it about Jerry Jeudy a handful of times, he moves differently before and after the catch. They get an elite talent, a true number 1 wide receiver at 4 overall. Atlanta picking at number 5. Go get themselves a great cornerback, 6'1", almost 200 pounds around that area, an elite athletic profile, and he has the production this year. Jeffrey Okudah goes to Atlanta.
Yeah, he's allowed a passer rating under 60 for his entire career. Completion percentage against of 43.8. Just absurd numbers there from the Ohio State cornerback. And if you watch the Falcons defense at all, outside of this past week against the Saints, you know they need help on the outside, help in coverage. That's Okudah. I really do think he is a top 5 talent in this draft. And I believe, obviously, if you've watched the Falcons game, that he would make a huge impact for them right out the gate.
And you speak of value, you're attacking quarterback, edge rusher, wide receiver, cornerback.
Yes.
You need to affect the passing game. The Falcons do that, get one of the best, the best cornerback in the draft.
Yeah, in this mock, with us being the GM, you're not going to see a lot of guards. You're not going to see a lot of centers. You're going to see the value positions, tackle, edge, cornerback, the positions that get paid the most because that's where you can recoup the most draft value.
And I already skipped here to the New York Giants. They bring Danny Dimes, CeeDee Lamb, another great receiving prospect. Like you said, the receiving class is deep, but you're not going to get a true number one if you're not getting Judy or CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, they have Golden Tate there. They have Sterling Shepard, some nice slot kind of options. They're not number one type of wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb has the size, has the body control, and what he's done this year with Jalen Hurts at quarterback has been special. As every defense is focusing on him every single play, and he's still producing the highest yards per route in the entire country.
What I love too is he's got great size, great athletic ability, but he's so good after the catch. You don't expect it with how big he is, but he forces missed tackles, gains yard after the catch with reckless abandon. I think he's going to be an elite threat in the NFL.
Won that K-State game for them with that ridiculous screen pass he took to the house.
Absolutely. Let's go to 7. The Cleveland Browns go get themselves an offensive tackle. They need one right now, but they're going to have to wait to the 2020 NFL Draft to snag one. This guy is a super freak from an athletic standpoint. Huge, great size. Andrew Thomas of Georgia goes to Cleveland.
Yeah, it might be a year too late, but it's never too late to address when it's that big of a need. And Andrew Thomas is a special prospect in his own right. Been starting since true freshman at Georgia. That's rare in and of itself, but what we love is every single year his run blocking and his pass blocking grade have improved.
Wow.
Now the highest overall grade of any Power 5 draft-eligible offensive lineman. He has been dominant for Georgia.
And that's a huge benefit of PFF's grading system at the college level. Since we've been grading since 2014, we're able to see that progression in a player at the college level as he improves in grade every year. Andrew Thomas, a special talent that's still improving.
An offensive line, a position where you have to progress. You have to keep getting better. No one comes into the NFL ready.
100%. Let's go to 8 here. Christian Fulton, the LSU cornerback, goes to Tampa Bay. They play a ton of man coverage there. Yes, they've invested a ton of draft capital into the secondary with MJ Stewart, Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis. Keep throwing draft capital at it until you have an elite secondary. No team has enough good cornerbacks. They get one in Christian Fulton.
Exactly, and it goes back to what we talked about with the Redskins and Tua Tagovailoa. It's the second most valuable position on the football field, according to us here at PFF, cornerback. And if you're not good there, you have to still keep addressing it. Yes, you have guys with promise, but none of them have really turned into good, if not, quality NFL stars at the cornerback position. At that point, keep addressing it because it's that valuable, because you don't want to end up like the Eagles who kept banking on the young guys progressing, and now they just have a sieve on the back end. You don't want to have that. You got to address it. Christian Fulton has he's probably the most complete corner in this draft. Jeffrey Okudah, great in man coverage, great in press coverage. Christian Fulton, he can do it all.
No team finds themselves in the season saying, man, we have enough cornerback talent. I'm glad we did that. Even the New England Patriots drafted Joejuan Williams in the second round out of Vanderbilt, knowing they have a good secondary. You just have to keep throwing draft capital at that position. Let's go here, moving over to number 9. Isaiah Simmons, the super athletic linebacker safety hybrid, goes to Denver with Fangio.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the reason why I threw him there is because Vic Fangio, it's almost selfishly, just want to see what he would do with Isaiah Simmons. Because linebacker gets featured heavily in that defense. Think back to Patrick Willis out in San Francisco when he had Roquan Smith in Chicago. Loves speed, loves athleticism. They need to cover at that position. That is Isaiah Simmons to a T.
Oakland Raiders bring in some edge talent here. AJ Epinesa of Iowa, a huge freaky athletic dude who's great, great bull rush off the edge. Yes, they threw a number 4 overall pick at Clelin Ferrell of Clemson, but their pass rush is still one of the worst in the NFL. They make an upgrade here with Epinesa.
Yeah, Epinesa, since day one, since he stepped foot on Iowa, has been dominant in college football. Pass rushing grade over 90 for his career there. A little bit of a down year in terms of this year compared to his sophomore year, but that's just because his sophomore year was so dominant in a limited role. Playing more of a full-time role, hasn't had the same sort of production, but I think I'm going to bank on a 6'6", 280-pounder who has shown it in the past, who moves like a 6'2", 250-pounder. Dude is a freak. Getting him in the top 10 would be he'd be a much better fit for them than what we saw from Clelin Ferrell the year ago.
Did you see what Epinesa did to Cole Van Lanen of Wisconsin? He had a great day, easily his best single-game pass rushing grade of the year. You do that against Cole Van Lanen, you're going to do that against NFL offensive tackles. Let's go to 11, Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is running for his life. That offensive line is one of the worst in football. Only the Bengals really beating him out there. They bring left tackle Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama to replace DJ Humphries and improve that offensive line.
Yeah, True Jr. has taken a massive step forward this year after playing guard in 2018. for the Crimson Tide. Probably the smoothest offensive tackle at the top of this class. Gets out of his set real nicely, has the length, has the athleticism, still maybe a little bit of a work in progress there on the edge, but they need pass protectors in that offense. They don't necessarily need run blockers. They spread it out. They like to get on the move in the run game, but they need guys to pass protect Kyler Murray when they need that third and long, that sort of stuff. Alex Leatherwood's that guy.
That would be a smart investment, I'll tell you that right now. Let's go to 12. Grant Delpit. Yes, he misses tackles, but this guy, when he's not asked to tackle, has some of the best range in the country, a game-changing safety that he has. Matt Patricia goes and gets a nice safety to help that defense.
And he would, in the Matt Patricia's defense, they like to play matchups, like to go, he would guard a tight end for the other team all game long, something like that. He has that Swiss Army knife sort of defensive coverage ability to where he can do anything you ask of him any given week, can run a completely different role one week than he runs the next. I think that would have a ton of value in Detroit's scheme. So I do think this is a great fit, but missed tackles, huge issue for him at this point. Really getting bigger, only getting bigger. 4 missed tackles this past week against Alabama, only 6 attempts. You just got to clean them up.
Yeah, and I think you made a great point there. Coverage versatility. He can do man against tight ends, running backs, things like that. Not necessarily positional versatility like you would see with the Jamal Adams, Derwin James.
Yeah.
He's not going to be up in the box, rushing the passer, things like that. He's a guy that plays deep and plays in coverage well. Let's go to Jacksonville here. They bring in Trayvon Diggs, the cornerback for Alabama, a bigger corner that is playing very well for Alabama right now.
Yeah, if you're going to get a guy to fill Jalen Ramsey's shoes, he can do a pretty good impression of that with his size and press coverage at the line of scrimmage. Still has some issues. We saw him get exposed a few times against LSU, but I think with his length, with his ball skills, he'll be a pass breakup machine at the next level, and I think he's fairly NFL ready from that standpoint. So they obviously have that need, and I think he'd fill it.
The ball skills, he looks like a receiver at cornerback sometimes.
Yeah.
He attacks the ball very well, obviously related to Stephon Diggs. I think he gets a little bit from there. Let's go to the Chargers here. They bring in Tristan Wirfs, the offensive lineman of Iowa. Could get kicked into guard at the next level, but regardless, you play him at tackle or guard, this guy's going to be a high-end NFL talent.
Yeah, you don't have to watch too many Chargers games to realize offensive line, by far biggest needs, stars, put it in bold, whatever you want to do. I think they need to address it early. Tristan Wirfs, a special talent, freakish power, very smooth in his pass sets. Like you said, you might have to kick into guard, but they need guard help too. They need any help they can get there along that Chargers offensive line, so he'd be a great fit in a very deep offensive tackle class.
In that Week 10 matchup with the Oakland Raiders on Thursday Night Football, they went to Sam Tevi's backup, Trey Pipkins, Trent Scott out there. They made the Raiders pass rush look like an elite pass rush, and it's not that great.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers need help at guard, at tackle. I think bringing in Tristan Wirfs at 14 overall makes a ton of sense for them. Let's go to Tennessee. Curtis Weaver, the Boise State edge defender with such great positional versatility. He can rush the passer from an interior alignment. He can play the edge. He can even drop into coverage like he does at Boise State. I love this guy's versatility. I love him to Tennessee.
Second highest pass rushing grade behind Chase Young in the nation this year. Just dominates week in and week out. If he gets one-on-ones there in the Mountain West, it's over. He wins.
Oh, yeah.
That is just, he is that good. Extremely powerful hands. I think the Titans will have a need at that position. Cam Wake, obviously, in his late 30s. He's not a long-term option by any means. So I do think pass rush, they could add it. Curtis Weaver is that guy.
Hear me out on this. Jarrell Casey, Jeffrey Simmons, Curtis Weaver, and give me one more year in Cameron Wake.
Harold Landry, too.
Or Harold Landry, too.
Yeah.
He had a great beat against Cam Irving this past week. I like that defensive line, how it's shaping up. Let's go to 16. Oakland Raiders with another first-round pick. They bring in Colorado wide receiver Laviska Shenault, an absolute game-changing weapon, how used. He can run out of the backfield. He can run these crossers, but he also has a second gear when going deep down the field. This guy's a legit wide receiver.
That's the thing. The receiving core really changed overnight when they lost Antonio Brown. It went from this, looked like a complete unit to now, kind of scrapping the bottom of the barrel here to get guys to be productive. Laviska Shenault is just an offensive weapon. You get the ball in his hands, he will be productive. He's been that over the course of his career at Colorado. And I think while he is somewhat limited in his route tree at this point, he is a deep threat. He does have that deep speed. He is very physical at the catch point. I do anticipate him being one of the top receivers. He's not the complete CeeDee Lamb, he's not the complete Jerry Jeudy, but he is a freak of nature in his own right.
In John Gruden's offense, so I think he's used to his best of his ability.
Yeah.
I like that fit a ton. Let's go to number 17 here. Justin Herbert comes off the board. This would be a very good pick for the Miami Dolphins. If Justin Herbert falls to 17, maybe he doesn't because quarterbacks are valued highly in the draft. But if he falls to 17 and they're able to add Jerry Jeudy and the Oregon signal caller Justin Herbert, this would be a very good first round for Miami.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is not a one-year sort of thing. They're not going to flip it around overnight. And so if you're drafting in the top 5 and you have serious question marks about a guy like Justin Herbert, like we do, go get a sure thing in Jerry Jeudy. Go get that guy at a wide receiver who is going to change your franchise, who is going to get 1,000 yards every single year, no matter who's throwing him the football. And then maybe if Justin Herbert, Jake Fromm, someone else is sitting there for you later in the draft, then you go get your guy. I think Justin Herbert, like you said, we have too many question marks about his mental makeup, just not showing up in big games, not making the plays that need to be made down the stretch. He's sort of answering those here. He's had a much better second half of the season than he did to start off, but there's still a lot of question marks. We're still not on board with drafting him, top 5, top 10.
Those question marks about the mental makeup. If Miami does make this move, you're going to have to move on from Ryan Fitzpatrick because that guy dominates a locker room. The Fitzmagic starts, Herbert's going to sink down. I think you'd have to make him the guy if you want to move him forward. Let's go to Philadelphia at 18. They bring in C.J. Henderson, the cornerback of Florida. A very sticky corner, doesn't talk a lot. He's a guy I talked to before the season started. Does not talk trash, very quiet, just wants to win every rep and win a championship in Florida. He might return to school, but if he does declare, he's a first-round talent.
Yeah, the Eagles just need guys who can stick with other opposing receivers in man coverage. If we've seen anything of late, they have just gotten torched when they try to play man, when they try to have, we've seen him game after game after game. C.J. Henderson has better man skills than anyone on that Eagles roster at the moment. Has had some ups and downs this year, but a lot of it is just losing on some freak plays, a wheel route where he gets picked, a few at the catch point that he's lost down the football field. He is still, in terms of play-by-play, sticking with guys in man coverage, up there with the top of the class.
There's some scheme question marks in Philadelphia, too. That defense plays an interesting role, but C.J. Henderson, no matter what, is an upgrade for Philly if they can bring him in. Let's go Derek Brown to the Carolina Panthers, a great run defender that is starting to earn high pass rush grades in PFF system.
Yeah, they have a lot there on the interior, but Gerald McCoy, not a great run defender. Dontari Poe, probably a likely cut candidate after this season with his contract. So Derek Brown could slot right in there, along with Kawan Short. I just think they need those big bodies on the interior to keep Luke Kuechly free there behind them. He needs room to roam. Derek Brown would be that guy, much better than a much better prospect than Vernon Butler, who they tried in years past as a first rounder. Derek Brown's night and day from a guy like that. If he's there at 17 or 19, I think it'd be a no-brainer.
You get Kawan Short back healthy, Gerald McCoy, you have Brian Burns in second year, and then you added Derek Brown. I do like the investment along the defensive line there. Jacksonville, they bring in Jalen Reagor of TCU, who's had a bit of a down year, could return to school, but what we saw from him as a sophomore was truly incredible. We've seen it on tape. We know this guy, what he can do when actually throwing accurate footballs. Jalen Reagor, a very special guy.
Yeah, in terms of separating down the football field, he is up there with anyone else in this class. He has ridiculous speed, acceleration is off the charts, and is great after the catch, but quarterback position has let him down there at TCU over the course of his career. Some pretty poor quarterback play, and he has had his issues with drops, with some contested catches so far this season at TCU. So not the season he was hoping for. Is a likely guy to return to school, but I think he offers something in terms of speed there for the Jaguars. And now you kind of have this basketball team with DJ Chark and him on the outside, where you just present so many matchup nightmares for opposing defenses.
Fit Gardner Minshew with just an embarrassment of riches there. Jalen Reagor, too, you speak to that separation ability. Separation is king in the NFL. If you can separate like Reagor can, you're going to have a starting place in the NFL. Let's go to Dallas here at number 21. They bring in one of my favorites in the class, Ashton Davis, a former high hurdler, didn't even play defense in high school, goes to Cal as a walk-in, and now he's earning high grades in PFF system as a safety. Great range, surprisingly good tackler for his experience in football. Ashton Davis goes to Dallas. This is a great pick for Dallas.
Yeah, solid tackler, and the Dallas defense the linebackers have so much range there for them. Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch cover so much ground, but their safeties, you can't say the same thing about it. No. They need someone on the back end. If you get a third guy in there, you get Ashton Davis, all of a sudden the windows over the middle of the field are going to be closing real quickly for opposing offenses. I do believe Ashton Davis is pretty clear the second best safety in this class after Grant Delpit. And so adding a guy like that to that defense, which has been taking a pretty hefty step back from 2018, I think could be a big help for them.
What a success story, too. Coming from high school track guy to being a first-round player. He's going to blow up the combine, too. I can't wait to watch that. 22 here, we're going to Indianapolis Colts. They picked a big possession receiver, great in contested catch situations, Clemson's T. Higgins.
Yeah, I love his body control, love his ability in contest situations like you mentioned. There's not a lot of big receivers in the class. The guys we've all mentioned, pretty much 6'2" and under. T. Higgins 6'4". He offers something in that regard. Great on the back shoulder fade. I think he'd fit perfectly. Something that the Indianapolis Colts offense doesn't really have right now. They wanted Devin Funchess to be that. Has not been
Pascal has been better in recent weeks,
yeah.
But T. Higgins is a different breed in terms of when you bring into that receiving core. And T.Y. Hilton has battled injuries. He's more of a separator. You bring in a big guy like this, it could have a huge impact. Let's go to Minnesota. They bring in another one of my favorites. See, we're getting to my favorites now. Yeah. Marvin Wilson, defensive interior for Florida State, is a monster. He looks like a mammoth in a 21 jersey. He plays run defense outstanding, as you'd expect from a guy that size, but also great interior pass rusher. He's quick off the snap and only 20 years old. I think this guy gets better in the NFL.
That's the thing, is we've seen him improve by leaps and bounds, and he is only, like I said, 20 years old when every other defense tackle in this class is a senior, redshirt senior, much older. He is young, still improving, and then dominant, as showing more as a pass rusher than pretty much anyone else in this class. I don't think he has necessarily the first step of some of the other DTs or the size or like the length profile of some of the other DTs, but the dude produces on the football field. They need someone next to Linval Joseph. I think Marvin Wilson would be perfect.
Love that pick. Let's go 24. Kansas City Chiefs add to the secondary. A Chiefs defense that has really struggled, cost them in recent games. They just lost to Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans due to bad defense. They bring in Bryce Hall, who suffered a season-ending injury at Virginia on punt coverage, by the way. I hate to bring that up, but that's where it was. Bryce Hall, though, before the injury, was one of the better talents in college football, a great cover corner. Yeah,
led the class in forced completions back in 2018. This year was not on the same sort of pace, but just because guys weren't targeting him. He was on pace for something like 30 fewer targets this year than he had a season ago.
Away from him.
Teams realized Bryce Hall was locking down his side of the football field. Great size, great length. I think he'd fit in perfectly in Kansas City, where they just need someone with some ball skills in that
Another success story, too. Only a 3-star recruit, is not a freaky athlete, but he finds ways to get done on the football field. A big film study guy, too. Let's go to number 25. I know you love this guy. Houston offensive tackle, Senior Bowl invite, Josh Jones of Houston. He goes to Miami to help rebuild that offense. Herbert's there now. We got Judy. Now we bring in Josh Jones. The rebuild is really, gaining weight.
I think he'll start to get some buzz come next January at the Senior Bowl. I fully expect him to dominate there like he has this season at Houston. The highest grade of any draft-eligible tackle so far this season. Had 3 straight years now of pass blocking grades over 80. He has the size, has the length, has the athleticism. His pass sets aren't quite there. He needs to probably rework his feet a little bit, get in, an NFL offensive line coach to help him out there. But from what he's shown, from his improvement from a freshman to now, I fully believe that he has everything it takes to be a top-tier offensive tackle in the NFL. And the Dolphins, they don't need a guy who's NFL ready right now. They can take a few years to let a guy develop. That would be Josh Jones.
There you go. Let's go to Buffalo. Number 26. They bring in an absolute burner, speedster, big play waiting to happen. Henry Ruggs of Alabama. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. No matter what, though, he's going to catch touchdowns and he's going to create big plays. Perfect for Josh Allen, just similar to what John Brown is for Josh Allen. Get down the field and have him just uncork that arm. Henry Ruggs catching TDs for Buffalo.
That's the thing, is Josh Allen, if there is an area he's accurate, if there is an area he succeeds, it is down the football field. And I don't think he can even overthrow Henry Ruggs with as good an arm as Josh Allen has. Henry Ruggs is going to run somewhere in the 4.3s, if not 4.2s, with how fast he plays on the football field. One of the best deep threats in the entire country. I think he'd be a perfect fit for that offense. And again, just too much speed on the field there for Buffalo if they get him.
I love when a team that kind of builds around Josh Allen how they should. Bringing a receiver like Henry Ruggs makes way more sense than maybe a crafty receiver underneath. Because Josh Allen is not going to be an accurate quarterback. He's never going to rank inside the top 16 in accuracy. But what he is good at is heaving the ball downfield. Henry Ruggs is going to be catching those in this mock draft. Let's go to 27. They bring in one of my favorite receivers in the class, Tyler Johnson of Minnesota. He's coming off that Penn State win where he had the one-hander through DPI. He's got great routes, creates separation at an elite level, and he reminds me a lot of Devontae Adams. You put him in Green Bay, I like that duo.
That is the comp for him. Devontae Adams has some issues with drops, like you mentioned, over 10% drop rate each of the last 3 seasons, but separation is king, one of the best route runners in the entire country, and has that sort of shake to run the slant, run the routes that Green Bay loves to run there with Aaron Rodgers that he loves to throw to. So a guy who will get open for Aaron Rodgers. You can see him open, throw to him. Like you said, the Devontae Adams comp, 2 of those guys on the football field would be better than 1.
He might have the best slant in college football, and his releases, too, are something special for sure. Let's go to 28. Number 28, Seattle Seahawks. They bring in the other Alabama offensive tackle, Jedrick Wills Jr., a great run blocker for that team. I think he goes to Seattle. They run the football a ton with Chris Carson and company. Wills comes and helps that team.
Yeah, that Jermaine Ifedi experiment coming to an end here. Didn't pick up his 5th clear option.
hopefully.
Yeah, he has just not been the guy for them. Will's one of the most explosive offensive linemen in the country. Crazy to be saying that in the class with Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, but him as a run blocker, decleats guys on a weekly basis, so he would fit right in a run-heavy Seahawks offense. They run that zone read stuff. He just can cave in one side of the line of scrimmage. He is that sort of potential, and only a true junior to be as good as he is right now. It's pretty absurd.
He's a young dude who's already a very powerful, successful run blocker in the SEC. You're going against other beefcakes in there too. So let's go to number 29, Baltimore Ravens. They bring in one of your favorites from the alma mater, Julian Okwara, the edge defender, one of the better pass rushers in this class. He comes to them at 29.
Yeah, he's got some question marks in run defense. He might be seen as, a pass rush only guy at the next level, but he's that good as a pass rush only guy that I'm still taking him in the first round. Undersized, but freakishly athletic. Burst off line of scrimmage as good as it gets in college football, and at only 240 pounds, still one of the best bull rushers in the country. I think he adds some speed to that edge group that they desperately need, something that can test opposing offensive tackles. They need pass rushing help. This is a defense set up to run the ball and then stop the pass on the other side. He would help stopping the pass.
And they lost Terrell Suggs, they lost Darius Smith, they tried to make up with Udon, some other guys, but Julian Okwara instantly upgrades that pass rush, something they need very soon. Let's go to number 3, Cameron Dantzler. Hold me closer, Tiny Dantzler, the Mississippi State cornerback that plays man coverage with the best of them, very good at the line of scrimmage. He goes opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. This defense gets a huge boost.
Yeah, true junior. He's a little skinny. I think he's still only about 180 pounds at 6'2". Looks very skinny on the football field, but he can stick with guys in man coverage, is so physical at the line of scrimmage. If he can just add 10 to 15 more pounds onto his frame, I think he has everything to be a lockdown cornerback in the NFL. And like you mentioned, him across from Marshawn Lattimore presents so many problems for opposing offenses. I think in today's NFL, what you need to be able to do is play man coverage. You got one guy that can definitely do it there for the New Orleans Saints. Eli Apple, contract up after this season, will be a need there for them. I think Cameron Dantzler fills that need.
I love it. Let's go to New England Patriots, number 31. They're not winning the Super Bowl in this mock draft. Javon Kinlaw, South Carolina defensive interior, has flashed this season. Great pass rusher and run defense. A very balanced interior defender. New England Patriots love to get these guys at the end of the first round. I like this pick.
Exactly. He has size, length, versatility. That's a Patriots defensive lineman to a T. Also had some as a pass rusher, had the highest returning grade of any defensive tackle in terms of pass rushing, is a pass rush grade over 90 so far this season. Explosive off the line of scrimmage. I think he's still only scratching the surface of what he could be. Still pretty raw there for South Carolina, even though he's a senior. I think the arrow's only trending up for him.
Dude, look at this bicep. Looks like a ham hock. Are you kidding me? That's as big as my thigh. Let's go San Francisco 49ers, last pick of our 2020 NFL mock draft. They get Samuel Cosmi, the offensive tackle for Texas. They've been down to Daniel Brunskill, San Diego State alum, and the other Justin School. They've struggled with offensive tackle. They need depth there. They need a starting talent. I think first rounder Samuel Cosmi makes sense.
Yeah, forget wrong side of 30. Joe Staley's on the wrong side of 35 at this point. I don't think he's getting any younger. Might be his last legs for the left tackle there. Cosmi, redshirt sophomore, switched from right tackle last year where he graded out extremely well to left tackle, and his game's only gotten better. You love to see a guy who has that versatility, so he can maybe start inside at guard or something like that if Joe Staley still has a year or two left in the tank, and then be the heir apparent at left tackle. But very athletic. We saw him catch, a ball this year on a throwback screen. How is it? Looked like a tight end. Looked like if he dropped 15 pounds, he'd probably be at the top of this tight end class.
Moves
with how weak
different,
it is. But yeah, he is a very athletic guy. And again, this tackle class is very, very deep. I wouldn't be surprised when it's all said and done if we do see something like 6 offensive tackles go in the first round. That's how good it is.
To get an athletic talent at offensive tackle in Samuel Cosmi at number 32 would be a very good pickup for the San Francisco 49ers, especially with where Staley is in his career. That's going to do it for our 2020 NFL mock draft, Mike Renner's latest. Tune in. We're going to be doing a ton of more mock drafts covering this 2020 NFL draft as much as we can through the end of the year. Remember, all of this presented by our friends at Western Southern. For more content like this, subscribe to PFF's YouTube channel or go ahead and go to the site, pff.com.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.